All right, everyone. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So for today, we have a new webinar to present to all you guys, and we have a special one. This is actually one of my favorites. I think that we're going to be presenting to you guys is how to use AI for job applications. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. And to introduce everyone, my name is Francisco. I am the employment specialist and career coach here at AlliedUP. And with me, I have my fellow coach and employment specialist, Kirsten Jensen.
Hello, everyone.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, AI, everyone, AI has been taking over. It's transforming the way healthcare professionals can approach, job applications. And with this presentations, what we want to do, we want to explore AI and how it can optimize your guys' resumes, your cover letters, and your job searches. Remember, AI can be a very powerful tool to enhance applications for roles like, for example, medical assistants, phlebotomists, patient care reps, healthcare, all specialties. And with that being said, the goal for this webinar is to show you how AI can streamline job seeking process while ensuring that the application is strong, it's more competitive, and also it makes it ATS friendly. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started. Move to the next slide. All right, using AI to review your resumes. So this is a great tool to use to have it scan your resume. Now, what I mean, how is it going to scan my resume? So a lot of these job descriptions, are looking for specific skills. And sometimes, half the time, most people, what I've run into is that, they feel that their resume isn't up to date, or they probably are not receiving phone calls or interviews because, maybe they're missing some stuff. With AI, what I love about AI is that AI can scan your resume and compare it to job listings. It can also check for any missing or weak qualifications. Also another cool thing about, having AI review your resume, it suggests keyword optimizations. Like what I mean by keyword optimization, like say for example, if, this job description is asking for a medical assistant that has, vital signs, venipuncture, communication skills. If you know that none of that is, in your resume, that can be a potential harm for you for not being called. So AI, what I like about it is that it can give you what you might be missing in your resume. And the difference about it reviewing your resume, it doesn't do it for you. I wouldn't recommend having ChatGPT to do the resume for you because remember, you can't fully trust technology. It's gonna over elaborate the resume, and that's something that we don't want. As someone who I've been in recruiting for, a couple years, I can tell you that we know when a resume is fully done by AI. I highly suggest to use it to enhance it, and it can be a great, great tool. Also, it can highlight gaps in areas for improving, like for example, ensuring a better match with, job requirements. Also, this process increases, your guys' likelihood to secure an interview. So having AI scan your resume is a great, great key. And just really quickly, I want to go ahead and just show you guys very quickly through ChatGPT. So here, let me.
Also, really quickly, an ATS system is an applicant tracking system that is used when you apply for a job. So it's when you're going on the online application system and being able to submit your resume or your full application with your resume and cover letter. An ATS system is the thing that scans it once it gets submitted to be able to either go onto the recruiter, or if it's not scannable, they can't find keywords that they're looking for, it won't even go, it'll be booted out. So that's what he's talking about when he's talking about ATS.
Yep. For example, I'm going to show you guys. I created a quick little dummy resume, doesn't have full, things on it. So I wanted to have it reviewed to see how I can improve it. So really quickly, I'm going to ask ChatGPT, review my resume for tips and how to improve it. Boom. In just a couple seconds, it's going to go ahead and review this resume. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the resume. So as you can see, let me show the original resume for this. So this is the resume that I created. As you can see, it's not fully embedded. There's really not much information on it. I barely elaborated on the job description, but hey, I want to know what I can do to improve it. So let me ask ChatGPT to do that for me. Already off the bat, I want to go for medical assistant. So ChatGPT already let me know that, hey, maybe you need to improve your objective statement. Since I have no objective, is already letting me know your objective, it was too vague. So off the bat, it's already analyzing your resume and it's already giving you what you should go ahead and start changing. Now, I wouldn't recommend going and copying and pasting this and creating a whole new resume. Take this as feedback, as oh, maybe I need to change my, uh, job descriptions. Maybe I need to go ahead and use action words to, increase, my resume. So this is a really cool tool that I love using for resumes to just to evaluate, just have it review it. You want to make sure that the resume is top notch. This is going to be a great way to do that. All right, let me go back to our presentation.
Perfect.
Okay. And then secondly, we also like using AI so we can summarize, and see what are they looking for in the job description. So if you see in this photo right next to the slide, this is a job description that we asked ChatGPT to analyze. And we asked it to summarize what are the 5 top skills that this job description is looking for. So off the bat, they're looking for someone has done clinical procedures, someone who's done vital signs, administered medications. They also want someone with medical terminology, patient interaction, administrative duties, compliance and safety keys. Half the time, yeah, if you guys notice, you see these skills, what they're looking for, half the time, this is what's missing in your resumes. And that's what's hurting you guys and not being called back. Because remember, that ATS system is so sensitive. And what it's doing in those 3 seconds is just scanning the resume and seeing if you are compatible to the job. Half the time, a lot of this information is missing in your resume. This can be a great tool to evaluate if what is it that you're missing in your resume? What can make me more of a qualified candidate with this position? By doing this, it's gonna automatically tell you, hey, so and so, your resume is missing your vital signs. It's missing that you did medical terminology. I promise you, any skill, just one skill by updating it can make a huge difference. Trust me, I've seen it with many of our grads who we've taught this to them. We taught them how to analyze the job description compared to their resume, and it's working for them. Like I mentioned to you, half the time it's not that you guys aren't considered candidates, it's that we just gotta have to make the resume a little bit more better and also have it match the descriptions that you guys are going for. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna go on and move on to the next slide. All right.
All righty. So, really another way to, utilize any type of AI is to compare your resume to the job. A lot of the AI, just like ChatGPT, like Francisco showed, you can add a document into the chat. So I always like to add the document, my resume, into the chat and just do a prompt. The prompt here is a really great one. Compare my resume to the job description, link and suggest improvements to better align my skills listed. Or sometimes just, you can even copy and paste the job description. What are some skills that I'm missing? How can I, better align my background to this job? You never want to lie. Because so if it's saying in the job description, it says like, have to have like 3 years of pediatrics, so you've never worked in pediatrics. But, if you had previously had, an experience like in a childcare facility or that you had babysat, you can add that in to your skills and, discuss that at some point in your resume or your cover letter. So being able to identify those like transferable skills to be able to highlight your great background in order to really kind of make you stand out. It will always give you some suggestions for improvement, and you can always ask more questions like, why did you say that I needed to have this? And it will go maybe a little bit deeper into the job description and say, like, job description says you need to have X, Y, and Z. That's why I'm saying that you're missing it. Always kind of, you can have a conversation with AI to get more in depth and find out more information to be able to support what you're putting down there. Like I said, if even if you're coming from a non-healthcare background, asking how does this align to healthcare really helps you kind of really structure how you're writing your resume, your cover letter, your transferable skills, and that also helps get your creative juices going for when you get to that point for an interview. Being able to talk about, well, previously I was working in this industry, and I know I've talked to several people about like that have previously worked in retail. Customer service is patient care. If anyone tells you otherwise, they have no idea what either of them do. Your patient and your customers, you're doing the same exact, maybe different industries, but you're being there to support them and being patient and accessible and have that empathy that is completely transferable to be able to help you. So just being able to just kind of just dive in, kind of ask questions and get better understanding of how you could align your background with your resume and to the job. Next, please. All right, and then finding jobs related to that fit your skills. I know that there are a lot of, I've discussed with several healthcare customer service paraprofessionals that there are no job titles under that. And it is a great way to utilize ChatGPT to put in your job title, or the certification title and what you learned, just a brief description, and ask what jobs in healthcare are, am I aligned with? Just to be able to help kind of get a good list of alternative job titles to be able to kind of expand your search. You always want to cast a wide net, especially with this job market right now where there is a lot of competition and it seems like people are applying really quickly. You want to cast a wide net when it comes to your job search. So like this one is list the top highest paying alternate jobs that I might qualify for as a certified medical assistant with 2 years. And then it will go into a little bit more. There's a lot of people that don't really kind of think about the going into more of a dental specialty, that sometimes you're already qualified for some of the dental lab, dental front desk, dental hygienist. It really, you really want to read your descriptions very well. And sometimes it's just even putting the job description in ChatGPT and what are the must-haves requirements for this job. Like they do have, job descriptions list requirements, but then in that they would have some places that are preferred, preferred Spanish. That doesn't mean if you don't speak Spanish that you shouldn't apply. It's just they'd probably give preferential treatment to them to have the first shot of an interview, but that doesn't mean that you might not get an interview. So this helps you kind of start to think and kind of expand your mindset of like the different job titles that would align to you, and also gives you a good idea of what the market is. A lot of times I always ask my grads, what pay rate are you looking for when you are looking for a job? And so a lot of the reason I ask that question is mainly to make sure that you're kind of in line with what the market is going for right now. A lot of times when I talk to grads, sometimes if they say they just got out of their medical assistant program and they want to be making $40 an hour. Okay, where did you find that number? Like, let's do a little bit of research and kind of find out, just because we want to make sure that your expectations are aligned with what is going on with the job market at the moment. You don't want to set yourself up for disappointment, but you also want to be able to have a realistic view of, what jobs are out there, what's the pay rate, and, also kind of thinking outside the box, like not always focusing on the bigger employers in the area, but being able to get that foundation to be able to apply for, maybe a job that's at a bigger employer in your area after 6 months to a year, to be able to move yourself up into your career. Thank you. I always lose my mouse half the time anyway. And then another great thing to utilize AI is to craft your cover letter. You should never, though, just go and just say, hey, ChatGPT, make a cover letter off of this job description and use that. You want it to be specific to your resume and your background. So this prompt is really great. Use my resume to draft a cover letter as a part of my application for this job listing, and you would have it, and then it would be able to discuss the company and what you would bring and what you like about the company, just like, you enjoy their mission statement about being able to, focus on certain communities or what they do for your community. And then it also kind of would be able to highlight your background. Like I said, like it doesn't matter if you have background in healthcare or not. This is going to help you kind of really focus in those transferable skills and the great skill set that you can bring to any job. It will kind of throw in these relevant keywords like buzzwords to be able to align with the skills and requirements of the job description. And then it will be able to kind of make it a little bit more kind of professional, very kind of quick, a way to kind of quickly just showcase yourself. A cover letter is just a quick little 5-paragraph little essay about your achievements, what you like about the place that you're applying for, and what you would bring to the table. And this also makes sure that it is ATS friendly. It doesn't have any text boxes. It doesn't have any issues with going through the application process. And also, like, if it doesn't sound like you can play around with it, maybe just say, just like, don't sound so, um, just, maybe just like kind of ask like for it to kind of sound a little bit more as a young professional coming into the working arena. Sometimes like AI can make it really stiff and, very, very showcasing that it's AI, maybe just, right in the point of view of a newly graduated college student looking for a job based off of my resume on this job description. Just play around to make sure it does sound like you. There's nothing wrong with, just like, nope, I don't want to use that. Let me try another prompt. Let me try something else. Let me just take some of this and rewrite it myself. You should never just take the cover letter as it is and be able and just kind of try to use it. You always want to make sure you read it, that it just sounds like you. And just, don't be afraid to try, different prompts and different workarounds to see how it can fit to what you want. So, yeah, I know a lot of people are either kind of worried about where AI, maybe there is some, issues with like maybe privacy but it is, AI is the new thing to be able to help you as much as it can with your job search. There's some, we just only touch the surface. You can practice mock interviews and answers based off of this. This is definitely, what I've helped with grads is, put a list of 15 interview questions that could be based off of this job description. And then they would come up with that. And then like, give me suggestions of, answers based off of my resume. And then it would give some answers. You never know exactly what interview questions are going to be asked in an interview, but this helps you kind of phrase ways and be able to present yourself. Like AI is not going to replace any type of healthcare jobs or anything like that. It's here to support. It also writing thank you notes after an interview is very important. I feel like that is a area that is kind of forgotten nowadays because a lot of the initial interviews especially are done like maybe remotely. You kind of forget to do that kind of thank you letter. That is something that is very important because it lets that interviewer know that you really appreciate that time and that you are interested in the job and you can talk about, since we spoke about, having this background, this is what I have to bring. And it also kind of gives you best practices guide, what to expect on your first day, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. One example I did just today with a grad that was filling out an application for Kaiser, or filling out like a questionnaire that a recruiter sent to kind of move forward for an interview, was like, what type of background do you have in insurance and billing? And she didn't specifically have that and it said in an urgent care facility. Well, she's haven't worked in an urgent care facility, so we took her resume, that question and prompt, like had a prompt going, and it did really craft, like, while I haven't worked in an urgent care facility, I have worked with billing and insurance with these jobs. And since I did my healthcare customer service paraprofessional certification, I have these skills that have, that I've built up through the certification that I have. So it is a really great way to kind of think of ways that, like, she was at first was like, I don't have that. Like, how do I answer it? Well, yeah, you do. It's not, might not be just specifically in that setting, but here's a way we can write to be able to still make you a viable candidate. So, that it's really important to, but also just to always kind of keep up with there's always things being posted. If you just even like Google, best prompts for interview questions, best prompts to, write about like my strengths and weaknesses. Those are always really, a really great way to utilize, AI to just kind of really focus in on how you can, present yourself the best way you can to be able to get that interview and get that job. So remember, AI is not, it's just a tool. It's just a great resource. It doesn't replace anything. It's you that are presenting yourself to your employer. So just always remember that it's not just a copy and paste. It's not just that quick. It's not something that you are just like, yeah, they wrote it for me, it's good to go. It will enhance your applications, but your background is the thing that is going to be enhanced. And it does not replace a job search. You still need to set up your job search alerts. You need to set up your accounts on, a various amount of platforms, Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, and being able to play around and see which ones are actually promoting more of the jobs that you're looking for, and kind of being able to adjust your time appropriately to not like stay in one job search site that you're really not finding that many. And human judgment is essential for the final resume and cover letter, making sure that things are spelled correctly. I mean, technology does make mistakes. You could possibly like type, I mean, I do this every day. I type resume every day. And sometimes I mix up the S and the U because I'm going too fast, and just making sure like that I have it done correctly. Just always making sure to, check over your work, and your network is really important. When you're in your classes and you are finishing up, try to reach out to classmates. I think there is on LinkedIn, maybe a Futuro group of, graduates that, that is a really great way to reach out to each other. Some people, might be able to put out like, hey, I work here and we are hiring. Is anyone in the network live in this area? And then just do the same too. Like if you got a job and, your place of employment is hiring, it's always really great to be able to pay it forward and be able to reach out to your fellow Futuro Health scholars to be able to also help them be successful and find positions. Awesome. So I recognize some names, but if we haven't, started the free coaching process, please do so at alliedup.com, book my coach. And then we can start the process. And if you're already working with the coach and you need, more assistance, just reach out to us, and, we'd be able, to support you in what you need. I know that, job search can take some time and be frustrating, but hopefully AI will be able to help alleviate some of that frustration and really help you focus in on those skills that would be able to really help you, showcase yourself into getting that next amazing position.
And then remember, feel free to book a session with us. If you guys want a little bit more of an in scoop and insight of how ChatGPT works, we'll be more than happy to walk you through it, especially with the whole job search. I've seen with some of the scholars that I've been working with after I taught them this, ChatGPT strategy, that, their interviews have increased, they're getting word back. So definitely, book a session with us. We would love to teach you how you guys can incorporate ChatGPT in your job search, resume, and all that good stuff.
Alrighty, well, if there's no questions, you can hop off. It was great seeing everybody today, and we look forward to being able to either coach you or continue on coaching you.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining. You guys have a great day, and I hope to see you guys for the next event.